Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff. We are hanging out. I got some Space Marines on the table, and I'm just doing a little hobby hangout this afternoon because I had the energy and the time. So, if you're just joining me, basically this is an excuse for you to drag out your paintbrushes and hobby along with me. I got some lo-fi beats playing in the background, like I always do. And if you have any questions or anything like that, or stuff you would like discussed, please throw it in the chat. I give priority to people who make little donations or something like that, but feel free to ask anything really. And with that, I will show you what I'm working on. Oh, probably should turn my camera on before I do that. Could have done a whole pre-flight checklist, but I chose not to apparently. So these are a whole bunch of Space Marines. Forgive me, I had to mute myself to sneeze there. A whole bunch of Space Marines I got from my good friend Jesse locally. We did a swap for some Blades of Corn, and I got his basically just Primaris stuff from mostly the starter sets. So like Dark Imperium or whatever. Actually, I just realized, for whatever reason, it is still showing the Metal King Studio thing. There we go. So anyway, these are Space Marines by GW, and we're going to be painting them up. Now this is using a custom scheme that I am doing, and if it looks familiar to you, that's because it is identical to the Sons of Horus, which is the 30k army that I play. I do not get to put them on the table enough for how much I adore this color scheme, and I was like, screw it, we're doing it. We're going to build a whole stinking army of them. It's going to be awesome. So that's what I have been doing. Good morning to you, Prattle Thwap. I love it. So yeah, I've been working on a few ideas in the background for how to improve the channel, and a regular stream time is one of them. I'm thinking probably Saturdays in the AM, but US time AM. Forgive me, let me just move some light resources around here. And we should be set. So, Prattle Thwap, if you are hobbying at all, tell me, what are you working on? So let's see, I did the belts, the guns. Now I need to grab the purity seals. Morning. I missed too many of these. Well, you're here now, and I literally just turned the camera on, so you couldn't be more on time if you tried. I'd love to know what everybody is working on who's able to tune in. I decided to start. I actually have a whole bunch of Marine stuff. Like I went from 0 to an entire collection almost at the flip of a switch. And so I have a lot of stuff to work on for these guys. I'm actually very excited for the project. I never really did too much in the way with Primaris stuff specifically. Right now I just want to grab the little bits of paper because I'm about to come through with a... I do a Nuln oil wash on the weapons, the Aquila, and like their belt pack or whatever, so that'll include the purity seals and stuff like that. But it takes just an extra second to get that all done. And then instead of doing my normal, just douse the entire model in a wash, I take Militarm Green and I go through an edge, whatever, put in the wash in the edges. There we go. And at the end, I'm going to do one big final cleanup where I come back with the Sons of Horus Green and just catch all these little bits that I accidentally snagged with everything else. Because that's just it, man. I feel like sometimes their little purity seals are just hidden on the model. Let's see, how do you like Tornus the Redeemed? I am so glad that he has finally got a model really befitting his, I think, story significance. I think he's a very significant character in AOS, and I'm glad to see it. I'm thoroughly ready to jump into Stormcast stuff. I feel like we should know more by now and be allowed to talk about stuff. Conceptually, he's always been one of my favorites, simply because there used to be, I don't know how much there is now, but for a brief time there was a little bit of lore blurbs about how other Stormcast were like really not cool with him. Like, some of them would grumble about like, is this really true? And other Stormcasts in authority had to deal with the same question at the same time. It's like, can't be questioning Sigmar, yo. It was this great inner tension for the Stormcast. I like that a lot. Just filled in the gaps for a Demigorgon model. Nice. Still painting Skaven. I like it. Hey, hey. What's up? Silver Scratch Built Productions. That sounds like a rad channel. Do you make like terrain and stuff like that? Scratch Built Productions. I decided to start off simple. I had 2 5-man squads of intercessors and a lieutenant. I was like, okay, we'll start with the old school, rule of, 2 troops in an HQ. It's not really a thing anymore, but for all of the Under Armour bits, what I do is put on a silver, like a metallic. All right, you can see, I guess, the back of his knees and stuff like that. It's just either gunmetal or Iron Warrior's Grey, doesn't really matter. And then Black Templar over it, because as it sinks into the recesses, just the very thinnest amount of metallic is showing on the highest ridges. And I just think it's the best way to make it look like you put more work into it than you did. And that's the hobby goal. That's the dream. Ash, interesting color scheme. What is... Oh, homebrew? Sort of. So it is technically the color scheme from the Sons of Horus. The Chaos faction that eventually turns into the Black Legion. So not really, but I play Sons of Horus in Horus Heresy, and I love the scheme so much. It's my favorite thing to paint, and I do not play that game system enough. So I was like, you know what? I'm bringing it to something I can play more. So in situations where I feel like I have to have a lore base, there's actually a Space Marines chapter that uses a very, very faded green like this. And it's the Dragon Spears, which is a sub-founding of, what are they, salamanders? So I'll probably play them as that if I'm going to like a narrative event or something, just so I can kind of cling them to an existing trope. But in general, they are just my own thing because I really love this scheme, and for whatever reason, it seems like Chaos armies really do have the market on like teal and seafoam kind of colors. And it's not because like Space Marines are afraid of having bright colors, but they just for some reason don't go too hard into those tones. So it's interesting. Successor chapter is the term. See, I always forget that. I'm like, 2nd edition, Offspring, Spawn. Thank you for keeping us technically correct. The best kind of correct. Scratch built stop motion animation movie sets. Oh, wow. Well, that is highly impressive of you. Color me intrigued. Happy to have you aboard. So yes, that was a big part of my decision. Was just I was really going between like, do I want to do Ultramarines? Do I want to do Blood Angels? Because I got this mainly to be able to participate in local events, and I kept going back and forth on it, and I was like, actually, I just really want to paint this, and then we'll figure out rules later, which I feel like is probably the most hobby decision I've ever made. Normally, I don't start with a paint scheme and work out. Almost thought they were raptors, but your reasoning for the colors is way cooler. Oh, well, thank you. Okay, so let's see. With that done, I'm looking to make sure all of the little purity seals, they should be dry by now, but I'm just double checking. Give you a hot sec more. In the meantime, I'm going to throw down some base colors for the one guy who has skin. Question for the chat. Helmet on or off? I think this one is a pre-sculpt. These were all pre-built for me, but I think this is one from the original sets who had his helmet permanently off. There's no option. But I'm curious, when you build kits, do you build them with the helmets on or off? I always go on unless there's a thematic reason to have them off. So for example, like if they're holding binoculars up to their face, right? I might have it off because they don't need the helmet, they're using this other tool. But otherwise, I'm all about the helmet. I watch Starship Troopers. I know what happens during live fire exercises, even when you're just training. Can't be doing that. I'll get that little bit of silver here when I'm done with the rest of the head. On. Always on. Yes. What's up? I dig your lore videos, Doug. Oh, thank you so much, Bill. That's very kind of you to say. I hope to get to them very, very soon. Like many other people, I had kind of frozen in content creating because I was like, okay, Stormcast is going to drop right now, right? Right? And then we've kind of just been in this lull, so... yeah. Anyway, all I have to say, I hope to get back to them very, very soon. Let's see. Tim, do you have any tips for painting a Canis Rex in white theme? Let me look that up real quick here. Canis Rex. Big ol' hunkin' knight. Yes, he is. Do I have any tips for painting him white? You know, honestly, I don't have any specific tips for that model, but I can tell you how I paint white. If you ask because you saw like the white shoulder pads or something like that, my favorite way, let me get the paints together here. I like to do whites, something along these lines. The paints can mix up, but essentially Pro Acryl Bright Warm Gray is a fantastic base coat. It's really close to maybe a hair brighter than Celestra Gray from Games Workshop, which is the base color. Highly opaque. That's where you get something that looks like this. which my light makes it look a little bit more white than it is. Your mid-tone is going to be something like a silver gray, where it is just the slightest bit off-white, and then your extreme highlight can be like white scar. You could do that with everything. You could blend these three together if it's a long curved surface, like the shoulder of the knight. But yeah, that's how I would do the white. And that goes for how I did all whites. That was my Knights Excelsior Stormcast army. I did the same thing. I just basically essentially primed them all in this and then built the colors up from there. Where is my non oil? Aha. Okay. Mauricio, is this Marines are from 40k or from Horus Heresy? They are from 40k, painted as Horus Heresy colors. I play Sons of Horus in Horus Heresy, but I never get to bust that army out because not enough people in the world play Horus Heresy. There's a few locally, but like I found a local group right as they were taking a little siesta during the fall, so I gotta wait for that to pick back up. Anyway, and I adore painting the color so much. It's just really, I don't know, unexpectedly become one of my favorite things to paint. And so I don't really have a deep attachment to a Space Marine chapter. I like thematically being able to do whatever I want. Although I do feel like having been out of 40k for a while and coming back, I do feel like the new codexes are very interesting. I do feel like you get to really do whatever you want, and I have had a great time looking through them. I'm going to come back with the white and clean stuff up more efficiently, but when it comes to the washes, I tend to be really, really messy. Helmet's always on. Right now painting Inquisitor Henchmen for my Imperial Agents army. Waiting for 2 Questors. Sweet. You know, if no one had a used army lot near me and I had to go like start my own 40k army from scratch, I was very intrigued by the Inquisition stuff that just came out, the Agents of the Imperium. And I know there's a lot of anguish amongst Death Guard players. That said, I watched a few kind of people like walk you through the book, and then the synopsis generally is, if you liked those old Witch Hunter books from forever ago, you will love this. And I was like, oh, that's actually a really impressive sales pitch. Helmet's on. What maniac fights without their helmet? Yeah. So Doug, I did some brief searching into Dragon Spears chapter. These guys look enough that you could, if you wanted to, make them your own Successor chapter with their own lore. Oh, of course. No, I know. My default is I'm going to do whatever I want, but I'm just saying if I went to a narrative event and the expectation was you know, a little bit more of a formal lore thing, I would definitely just copy paste that. Oh yeah, they're dragon spears, totally. Spearing them dragons. But yes, I just I don't know. Thoroughly enjoyed. I painted one test model and I got like halfway through it and I was like, oh yeah, these guys take this scheme well. Part of it is just the Primaris designs for armor plates and stuff like that. I just think there's a lot of great surfaces for when it comes to like the squad markings and stuff. Just even if I did the exact same thing I did for my 30k army on these guys, they would look phenomenal. Let's see. How to be that guy? I think you mean Death Watch. Oh yeah, if I said Death Guard, I meant that. Is the 2+ chapter the toughies? The mediocres. You have mediocre be spelled like in terms of like core, CORP. You're going to run them as regular Codex compliant. I'm definitely going to start that way simply because there's already an enormity of rules I'm trying to learn. I have no intention at this point of doubling down and buying another supplement for anything like that. I want to get a few games in first. But honestly, I don't know what those other ones can really offer. I was looking at their Codex right now, and they have like a detachment that lets them like run and charge. Someone can like always have assault weapons. I'm like, oh dang, man! All the things that I wanted to do, I don't need a supplement to allow me to do them. This is rad. Been a long time since I have looked at anything Space Marine, so I was just like, ooh, spicy. That's one of those skills that is cross Games Workshop games of like run and charge. Man, if you just get really good at knowing what models need to be where by the end of the turn, that is an incredibly powerful ability. I love it. What are your favorite 40k lore channels? And I'm going to put your favorite. I'm also going to put an asterisk of requires some level of personal integrity. How about that? Well, I would love. Is there a do you know of like a 40k me? If you're watching this channel, I assume you like what I'm doing. So I guess that's not an outrageous assumption. So if you like me, think of a 40k channel that's like me when it comes to lore. I would love to know, because there's so much stuff with the more recent things. Like I remember all the old lore from what 2012 back, but I have not really kept up with stuff. I know there's some stuff about Nihilus, which is a big rift between, or it's a portal way in the new tear the galaxy got. That's really about it. Oculus Imperia does a great job of presenting it as it's coming from someone in the universe. A historian recounting stuff. Oh, cool. Gotcha. Luton. Oh, that's right. I do know Luton. Yes. Alright, so we got that drying. So now I'm going to grab me some Militarum Green. We're going to start doing the agonizing process of lines. Luton is. I don't watch any 40k, so yes, I will watch them. So the ones that I know are either, we'll say, far right people. I have heard the name Chapter Master Valric, and obviously I'm not trying to like grade and evaluate. I'm just telling you who I've already heard of. But his are a little bit more like casual talking on a webcam. I was more thinking like kind of like what I do. Let's see. Adeptus Ridiculous. Voldemort. That's channel name, Voldemort. That's funny. And so what I do is I very flippantly throw a wash into the recesses, knowing fully well I'm going to come back with the mid-tone Sons of Horus green and clean up some of those higher edge areas. So like I paint in a way that I could do so fast and sloppy without hurting myself in the long run. So that usually means painting from the bottom up, so whatever is the deepest layer, outward. There we go. Coming along. Bada boop. Ta-da. Good voice acting. Right on. Incendiary makes sense to me, Electman. Doug, would you say you're the go-to channel for AOS? Like Luton is to 40k? I've never really seen any OS channels lore-wise. You're asking me if I would say that? Would I say that I'm the AOS diff channel? No, my imposter syndrome would not allow me to. I mean, I would be wrong to say that I knew of a lot of others, but it would also be insincere of me to say that I look for them. And that's more just I don't want to take inspiration from anybody else's work. I like kind of reading the stuff myself, and a lot of times I've read it before, so like when I do listen, I don't normally listen to AOS content when I'm just chilling. I usually listen to history podcast if I'm honest with you. But or true crime stuff, or just audiobooks for Horus Heresy because we have the Emperor Protects. We're doing Titan Death right now, and I'm liking it a lot more than I expected to. Anyway, sorry, distraction there. So I don't know. Amber King too, nice. Wes Hammer is good for books. I think I follow him on TikTok or Instagram or something else. He does like the shorts. It's real fun, real entertaining. Love the high energy. Not sure I could do a long form video of it, but it works fantastic in that medium that I love enjoying. But I didn't know he had a YouTube channel. That's awesome. Good for him. Let's see. Good vibes, folks. Oh, yes, of course. I'm running the Throne of Judgment Inquisitor and his henchmen. One squad of Voidmen. That's rad. We'll see. Oh, thank you, buddy. That's kind of you to say. That said, if you know of some other YouTube channels that do AOS lore, send them my way. I can give a shout out or something like that. Like I hope no one ever receives my silence or the fact that I don't do a lot of interviews or whatever as like I'm unapproachable. I feel like I tend to have the resting bitch face. So I try to be very aware and sensitive to that when I'm at events. Point is, I would love to take opportunities to try and grow communities, stuff like that, but for creative reasons, I don't tend to watch a lot myself. Really, the only other AOS stuff that I watch very regularly would be like Vince Ventrella. Because most of the stuff that I watch on YouTube has retrospectives on video games. Love Patrician TV. If you guys have watched his 8-hour retrospective on Morrowind, it is one of my favorite things on YouTube. I will just have that in the background going all the time. Let's see. Dan Carlin, Hardcore History for the win. Yeah, I listened to Blueprint for Armageddon. That is my comfort, like, background thing, and I know that's really morbid. But he does a great job of articulating what I feel when I think about World War I history, which is just the incredulity of what people experienced. And just kind of kept going with it. And I think for that, it's just very humanizing. And he had another series about, like, Japanese history, bringing them up to World War II. And that was a phenomenal, if nothing else, like, all his list of resources that he reads through, if you want to go, like, just find good books. Oh my god, they're so good. Let's see. These look great. Oh, thank you so much. Hey Dan. I'll admit, between this and Space Marine 2, I don't know, other factors, I want to work on my own Space Marines. That honestly is a huge part of it. I have been enjoying the ever-loving heck out of Space Marine 2. I will ask the chat, if you have been playing Space Marine 2, what is your favorite class? So I do a lot of PvE. I've never actually tried the PvP because I know I'm not good at this game. I struggle to complete missions on whatever the thing above normal is, difficulty. So, like, you know, I'd rather work with people than against them. I'll go first. My favorite of the classes is by far the sniper. And if you don't know, if you haven't played Space Marine 2, so when you get an enemy that's just about to die, they kind of go into like a near-death state where they're paralyzed. And you can perform like a cinematic execution on them, kind of like a finisher move. And it restores some of your shield and stuff like that, which is wonderful. It keeps you alive. And so a interesting thing that developed organically was just I found myself doing a healer support role with a sniper rifle, because I would headshot the enemy and then whoever was in front would run up and do the finisher move, get the shield, and then be able to keep fighting up front to keep me secure. I was like, I have never felt as a sniper, like, obviously it's a support role, right? It's not a front line. But I've never felt like so active in terms of supporting the team as setting up ways to buff my my teammates. I was like, this is just a really fun style of play. And I've had an absolute blast for it. Let's see. Last Skaven video was fun to watch. Oh, thank you so much, Dan. The one on Critic. Yeah, I wish I had kept going on this game, and now I'm kind of in a weird lull period because I paused because I was like, ooh, maybe Stormcast soon? Kind of cleared my mental schedule a bit. Here we are. no Stormcast. Bereft. Let's see. Are these salamanders? Oh wait, I missed one. Don't know of any others. Only bat reps. There's Vince. Yeah, Vince is a different. That's much more of a game discussion show and hobby painting. Although I will say Vince's lore coverage, story time whenever a campaign book drops is real fun. Because he has the opposite superpower of me, which is I take a book that might not have a lot of actual information and stretch that into a 5-book series. And Vince is like, this is all that happens in about 30 seconds, pretty much gets to the core of it, and then within 3 minutes, all the details kind of fleshed out. They both have their merit. Let me just clean this off real quick, refresh the brush. Are these salamanders? No, they are not. I'm doing a custom scheme. They are 40k Space Marines, but I'm painting them with the same scheme as I did my Sons of Horus in 30k, because I don't get to play 30k enough, but I adore painting this color scheme. And there's no reason good guys can't also look fabulous, right? Let's see. You can teach math, but he can teach you 40k. It's true. Outside the trials, I've only played the heavy, so I'm going to say it wins by default. There you go. Is a Leckman Danton podcast? Nope. Wish they had more health. Back mechanics for Space Marine 2. Heavy for multi-kills and snipers for headshots. Yeah, I would agree with that. The disparity in skill level between playing on normal and playing to where you can start getting artificer gear, I think is maybe a bit too much. Even if you don't paywall the content, that is a skill cap. That means that good majority of people, necessarily casual gamers, probably won't get to interact with. But I'm also not someone who 100% games, so I don't know. I'm a cozy gamer most of the time. And I would love to stream it, but unfortunately, I think it would melt my computer. I've just been playing it on Xbox. Okay. One's over. Did I miss anything? Let's see. Got 3 left. This is definitely the most tedious step, and then it all goes real fast after this. That's just the nature of the line highlighting. Let's see. Hey Doug, love the channel. Just want to say thanks for the great content and the positive attitude. Thank you so much. I hope that that's the takeaway. Not necessarily the great content part, right? People have different content likes, but I hope that even if folks don't like necessarily the kind of content that I do, that they get that, like, just a hobby positive space. There are... I don't know, man. It's an interesting thing. Like, I know that I could change the way I do things and probably have a lot more success. Some of those things I plan to do, like a more regular streaming schedule and, I don't know, release reserve and that kind of stuff, but like, I just refuse to do some of the things like fear-mongering, rage bait. I'm not going to have 16 thumbnails of myself in a shocked face. Because that's not good for anybody. I was actually in my Discord, was recommended a video, and the thumbnail looked very clickbaity. And I said, listen, I'm going to watch it, and I'm so glad you shared it. And it ended up being very helpful. Like, I just want you to know, I would have never clicked this video otherwise, because it made my eyes roll so hard, I almost detached my retinas. And it was just something to do with painting different Space Marine colors, and it was cool. It was very helpful, but it was just like, dang. Been good hanging out. Gotta go. Take it easy, my dude. If anyone has a question or topic you would like to discuss, please go ahead and just throw it in the chat there. And I will wax poetically on it for a bit while you paint. I was just sitting down here to do this part, and honestly, like, this is the part of painting that always goes by faster if you're hanging out with friends. The line highlighting, where it's like, this is truly the most boring thing. But here we are. Adam, hey, how you doing? I'm good. I am having a nice, productive work day. And I'm feeling, some days you just kind of feel like, man, I have enough energy to do X today. I don't always, but I can today. Kind of having one of those days. Feeling good. I am bracing myself for heading to Texas at the end of the month. My brother is getting married in Austin, or just outside of Austin. Thinking of stopping at the GW place in Dallas, or just outside Dallas on the way. So that'll be exciting. I don't think I've actually been there since they opened it. Okay, last guy for this step. Doug's next video title: Painters hate this one simple trick. Guaranteed golden demon. Yes, exactly. Yep. Make it look like you worked harder than you did. Commission painters hate Doug for sharing their secret. And it's just a video of me going, yeah, y'all should batch paint. That's it. Let's see. What do you think is next for AOS? In Doug's mind, where do you see the story going? Well, we've kind of reset it to where it's good guys versus bad guys, right? We got Skaven and... or Greater Chaos, really. Ascendant at the moment. I think that's wonderful. As far as what I see happening next, I don't know, man. They could go in so many different directions. I'm hoping they don't do the same thing that they did last narrative arc, which is that we got no... I'm sorry, not no. That's hyperbolic. Very little narrative support until the edition was over. Like, give me stories that are happening now. It's perfect right now, right? There's supposed to be so much stuff going on all over the place with Skaven attacking that, like... in theory, you could just create a campaign of a made-up place and have its whole set of little campaign things and consequences all wrapped up right there, and it would not have to affect the overall story in any way, shape, or form. And I just don't think they take advantage of that enough. Of these setting-wide things. Like, yeah, then give me something to do in that setting before you move on. Something that's not, I don't know, I guess gameplay-related events. Now the GHBs had, like, little narrative blurbs and stuff like that about the different regions. Give me a firm campaign game setting in the edition where the rules are not invalidated at the end of it. As far as what'll actually happen, I have no idea. I don't know. I'd love to see just more narrative support for the various bits and bobs. I'm just going to grab the white panels of the shoulders. Doug, those Death Guard made its heresy. No Death Guard. They're not Death Guard. Don't be crazy. They're actually Sons of Horus. But yes, they are actually Space Marines painted with my Sons of Horus color scheme. But it's pre-heresy, so it means that these colors were exonerated from all criminal wrongdoing, and now they're back into the mix. Let's see. I got into Age of Sigmar recently. Your fault, I gotta ask. Where the hell is Tyrion? I don't know, man. I don't know. And we're all very disappointed in James Workshop for not telling us. I feel the same way about Malekith, Malarian. Where it's just like, how about I give you money and you give me lore? Huh? Nice. Got the corners there. Let's see. Recently went to my first Age of Sigmar tournament over, and it was a good bit of fun. Not sure if you've heard about the first turn games in Cedar Rapids, but the vibe was great there. Actually, Adam, I used to live in Iowa City up until like 2 years ago now. And first turn games was my favorite place to play. Just bar none. Them, and if you ever play Conquest, which I talk about here on the channel, fantastic events. Cannot recommend enough. Sweet, they are coming along. Let me think real hard what's next. Just start highlighting. Yeah, now the highlights go by faster than the line highlighting of this because I only do the top portions of stuff. I don't even bother with highlighting every last little bit. I basically just do the backpack, the head, and the shoulders, maybe the back of the legs because it's a nice, super hard edge. But yes, Adam, it is a fantastic store. Highly recommend. The owner is a wonderful and supportive person, and is also a magnificent painter. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. He has his display case is full of painting awards and stuff like that he's gotten at Adepticon. It's just really impressive. It's also where I first started getting Pro Acryl paints because it's the only place that I found that holds them in stock. And I love it. What I'm doing right now is just mixing up my own highlight color. Display cases are amazing. Yeah. Does that mean your pile of shame will grow after coming back from Texas? Probably not. I fully expect my brother's wedding to break me financially. Debauchery doesn't come cheap. The Discord is pretty good too. Actually, if you're finding some games. Yeah, that was definitely my preferred place to game. It was definitely worth driving up from Iowa City for. A big part of it, like I get maybe over the top impressed at a game store owner if they are willing to toss at a customer who's being really rude. And I saw that exactly one time with the Magic the Gathering event that was going on, and I was just like, thank you. It was just someone getting real belligerent. This guy is actually my first done one, but I forgot to do the little bit of highlight with the color on his shoulder so that the shoulder pad pops. Let's see. Are you M-Duo? I'm bummed on AOS right now. Love my flesh eater courts, but they're getting rocked on the tabletop. I am in the same boat you are. I have my flesh eater courts. I don't normally play named characters, and so I had not been taking Ushurin and stuff like that. And I thought that I was going to be able to attend a local event here. Ended up not being able to. That's fine. But essentially, in preparation for that, I went and took Ushurin out thinking, Hey man, everyone on the internet can't be wrong, right? It's got to be good. And I proceeded to immediately just walk directly through my opponent's army. And it was the first game I'd ever won of AOS, 4th edition. First win, obviously, with Flesh Eater Courts after many games of losing. And I thought to myself, I won, but at what cost? Because I didn't like it. It was not interactive. He literally just walked straight through the opponent's army. I don't like auto includes. And I understand now why everyone on the Discord, or not Discord, Flesh Eater Court groups like on Reddit and stuff like that would say he's an auto include. I'm like, yeah. Because he's so good, anything else seems silly by comparison. Like, that's not fun. Are you excited for some potential new Tornus slash Torglug lore? Oh, always. I'm hoping he gets a dedicated book. I don't know. I wish I was clued in a little bit more about Black Library stuff than Battle Tome sometimes, but I don't know. He has certainly been one of my favorite characters to follow the story of, for sure. Whenever there's a moment with him in it, I'm like always look at it a little bit more harshly. Not harshly, closely. But hopefully he becomes the new Gardas in terms of not like replacing him in any way, shape, or form, but more just like sometimes in those larger narrative arcs they'll kind of link or glom onto a hero to follow, and since we're following the Reclusians, who he seems to be a part of, I am hoping that he gets a little bit more spotlight. Then again, Gardas got a whole new model just because he got punked in one scene of a campaign series, so it's not necessarily an indicator that he's got a bright future ahead of him. There we go. Let's see. I got trounced in Spearhead yesterday, and hearing Flesh Eater Courts being named is kicking in the PTSD. You got beat by the Flesh Eater Courts? All that to say, I am also having fun with the new edition. I don't know. I've been considering some Stormcast stuff, mainly because I like the way the new stuff looks. We'll see, though. Any of you guys having a particularly fun time with your army? Depending on who it is, I'd love to hear. I think really when it comes down to the Flesh Eater Court stuff, I think the army rules are fun. I think if they just address the fact that Ushuran is just such an overwhelmingly good choice, and I think that the way to address it is by making other things good. So for example, if they made it so that only the melee attacks of a mount also counted for the purposes of accruing noble deed points, that would unlock, Arborant Ghoul Kings on Terrorgeist or Zombie as a very reasonable alternative to dropping, a quarter of your army list on Ushuran, because he does offer a lot of things. However, that would mean you don't lose the noble deed accruing ability of him. If you want to, invest points into other stuff. I don't know. I feel like the issue isn't to make Ushuran worse, it's to make the other heroes better, so that the mechanic can stay in place. Because I feel like once I get those noble deeds triggered, everything works like it's supposed to. They're just so much harder to do, I find. Or make the aberrant attack profile more scary. Point is, I think from a fundamental level, like it's still in a good place. The mechanics work, but that's just one of those ones where they just need more than their... The issue manifests as one model, Ushuran, but the underlying issue is like you can't get noble deed points regularly without him. And I say specifically just the melee attacks, because I don't necessarily want like the Dragon's Breath or whatever to count. I don't want it to be egregious. I just want it to be reliable. Melee attacks still require you to commit to something. I hope Gardas gets new lore so I can bribe you into doing another video on him. I would definitely do a update. I'm actually planning on redoing all of the Stormcast lore videos, because I just feel like 4th edition is such a big change. And at this point now, if I keep adding to my Stormcast list, it gets a little confusing for new folks, because I'm talking about the Sacrosanct like they're there, present tense in some of those videos, right? And of course, they aren't so much. So I thought it might be a good excuse just to, like, hey, some of my videos actually, if you don't know, my Stormcast ones were spread across. I tried to do a partnership with me and Mini Wargaming, so I split up some of my Stormhost coverage between my channel and theirs. Like, I gave them pre-created videos and stuff. Okay. You got the back. There's 2 more guys on the line. Highlights. Didn't realize the cavalry could fly. Swooped in on my archers turn 1, and that was the end of the story. Ooh. I will say Morbeg Knights are tricky little guys. I actually, probably my only AOS purchase I've done in a while, because I do have a full Flesh Eater's army, and it is very much focused on the models that I like, so lots of horrors, that kind of stuff. But I did recently break down and go buy a second unit of Morbeg Knights, because I was like, these guys are just so much fun. They are... I don't know, they're the squigs of the Grand Alliance death, just because they can bounce around so much. They're the most fun this whole Grand Alliance has, is idiots riding around on bats. But to that end, yes, they are 100% about objective play, or they can also be very devastating charging into a unit that's already been engaged. That's typically where I use them a lot. So like I'll pin something with one unit and then charge into them. And they are just great for outweighing combat. Yeah, the retreat and charge ability that they have on top of that. Oh, they're just so good. And let's see. And I think... Nice. Okay. Coming together nicely. Now we'll go over the white shoulder pads, brighten it up to an almost white. I always have one brush that I just beat the snot out of and treat like garbage just for mixing. As always, if anybody has a topic they'd like to discuss, please go ahead and throw it in the chat. We'll talk all about it. Oh, one of the things I was thinking about, is anybody interested in any of the new battle forces, I guess, this year? It's the Christmas bundles, if you're unfamiliar with that term, battle force. Anybody looking at one? Be honest, none of them caught my eye this year, really. They're always great values, though. If you want to start a faction, I always recommend I was actually kind of blown away by the 40k Necrons one because they put like one of their big Catan models in there. I was like, ooh, that's smexy. I mean, it's one of those sets that, like, if you don't need that specific model, the value of that box diminishes like exponentially. Conversely, if you're just getting started in the army, Cities of Sigmar is exactly what I needed, so kind of a jackpot, but they seem lacking this year. I don't know. I mean, if it was between them focusing on battle forces or something else, I guess I would almost always choose something else, but nothing was exciting. Good call, though. The Cities of Sigmar one, though, if you're looking to start that as a project, that is like the perfect company of a Cities of Sigmar army. It is really quite good. I think there was also a Sisters of Battle one that looked interesting to me. Just because the box cover, like when they have the models all kind of set up for display, it just had this like nice, perfect picture of a Sisters of Battle army. I was like, oh, you know what? That looks rad. And by that time, I had already secured a deal to get these guys, so I'm like, I'm certainly not doing two 40k armies for a game that I don't play that much at all. Mm-hmm. I feel like they missed the opportunity. Every year there's a Squigs one. I thought that was like contractually mandated. Go. I put them all aside, did the shoulder patches, and then I bring them right back around. And we knock out the Aquillas. Oh, speaking of 40k games, I've been playing a ton of Rogue Trader lately, which is sort of the Baldur's Gate-esque role-playing game where you take the role of a rogue trader and you're just kind of like going around the universe, build a party of people, and have all kind of moral dilemmas. And I have been absolutely loving it. Took me a little bit to kind of figure out some of the basic systems, the way they don't really explain commerce and how that stuff works, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually really cool. Yes, have any of you guys played Rogue Trader? I haven't finished the main story of it yet, but yeah, I've certainly been enjoying the ride. How many people are getting into Middle Earth in Des Moines? I saw you painting Rangers last time and wanted to ask. Yeah, so there's at least a few of us that are available on Thursday nights at Game Castle in Ankeny. But I don't have hard numbers. Like, I don't know if there's a sign up form or something like that. As far as I know, it was just like a, hey, we're just doing this. I messed up someone's bolter here. Where'd he go? But no, I'm not sure of the exact numbers. I don't know of like a specific league list or anything, but I'm thinking, I mean, at least 6, I would imagine. There's a fair number of folks talking about different army selections, trying not to double up too much. Not that that matters. Go whatever you want, but just got back into Boltka. Nice. I've never actually seen. I'm sorry. I've only ever seen it played. I have not played it myself, but I hear wonderful things. And I am waiting on some miniatures to be delivered that'll give me the leaders I need to be able to play Middle Earth myself. I'm very stoked about it. I would love to find 1-day events, but like I'm finding a whole ton of 2-dayers, and I'm like, that is just such a commitment. Like Renegade Open, those kinds of things. Those are just 2-day events. I'm like, man, that's asking a lot. Just doing a once over, looking for places the other colors have kind of seeped into. Kind of a nice cleaning. He's an easy one just because his arms are all the way out, but I live near Ankeny. Maybe I'll pick up a battle host and go for it. Yeah, it'd be great. You can try to think of the best way to get a hold of me. I mean, there's my personal Discord you can reach out on for sure. But I don't have any like hard plans of like, we're starting a campaign this time. I would love that, but I am far from being a reliable enough person to be able to run those kinds of things. Sorry if this has been asked, but is this for a new army? Oh yeah, new to me. This is a... Okay, so backing up the story a little bit. Locally, there was recently a birthday bash for a local game member, a group member rather, and they took a vote of like, hey guys, what do we want to play to celebrate? And the vote came in as 40k. Which I don't mind, but I just don't have an army for. And of course, people would have been kind enough to loan me one if I had asked. But it just got me realizing of like, it really is the most ubiquitous game, and I would love to have, you know, an army kind of sitting in the wing, ready to be played if I wanted to do that. So I started looking around for Someone clearing out Space Marines. My buddy Jesse hooked me up. So it's not for any kind of pressing project for sure. Deadlines are nice, thanks, Doug. Oh, you like having deadlines for like get this stuff painted by X? Yeah, I could check that out. Honestly, everyone kind of like started talking about it locally, but I didn't really understand why, because they all wanted to start playing. But I'm like, guys, the announcement that got you excited to play Middle Earth was that a new edition was coming out. So no, I'm not going to go buy a bunch of books. Is basically my position. So yeah, I'm not like in a rush at all. It was more just like an opportunity thing of, oh yeah, I wanted to do this for a while now, and now folks around me are getting into it. Cool, I can join them. I've been forgetting to clean up the eyes this whole time, but they're actually pretty sharp. What basic unit list of Horus Heresy game? Ritoyo, I am not sure if I understand. If you want to check your auto-populate, maybe it kind of distorted your words. I don't think I understand the question. Do you mean, what do I normally play in Horus Heresy? These are, in case you're relatively recently joining us, these are 40k Primaris Marines, but I'm painting them in my Sons of Horus scheme because I don't get to paint that as much as I would want to. If we're being Codex compliant nerds about stuff. Need for a starter. Are you asking what's a good list idea for a starter game of Heresy? And if that is your question, what legion are we talking about? Because that does matter. Eyes look good. Yeah, okay. So for starting off in Heresy, I think two good units to look at are your basic tack squads, because they're just the easiest to get. I would say put chain swords on everybody, because that way you can run your tack squads into combat and they won't make you immediately sad panda. You know, if you're talking about a smaller list or a simpler one, I would say decide what you want your army to do. Okay, so if you're going to be a word bearer, I just saw your answer come up. I'm actually not terribly solid on their particular rules, if I'm totally legitimately honest with you. That said, a basic Praetor kitted out with some of their better melee weapons inside of Galvorbach, like an elite unit that's very representative of word bearers, and just a few infantry squads take objectives. You could easily do a 2,000 point, which is more. 2,000 is not the standard size of game. It's actually 3k in Heresy because they use a different point system. Anyway, all that to say, I think if you just took an HQ choice, so your Praetor, with a really fun thematic elite slot. Again, Galvorbach I think are the perfect example because they're just awesome. 2 to 3 units between TAC Marines and Despoilers. Despoilers are awesome. Those are just the assault marines that run around. No jetpacks. They just run forward with chainsaws, and I love them. But I tend to really like crappy mooks who just die really fast. But yeah, for all heresy stuff, I typically recommend a couple infantry. Always pick up one of your Legion's unique signature units, because I think heresy gets better if more sides use what makes their army unique rather than just a bunch of the same marines. I already got a siege tank and contemptor. There you go. Those are great ones. So it sounds like you just need some dudes. And yeah, for dudes, I always recommend, like I said, your specific elite dudes and then just a bunch of infantry. Because the infantry stuff, they'll work for any list. There's just no list where having, 2 good squads of TAC Marines to get an objective is a bad idea. And beyond that, I would say what you need to do is pick a Rite of War and lean into it. So Rites of War in Heresy, if you don't know, it's sort of like their alternate army builds. So Heresy, I'm just gonna look up here for a quick sec. So Heresy does the basic thing of like HQ slot with 2 troops because they're all using Codex army building things. So you have the HQ 2 troops kind of stuff, and then your Rite of War basically determines which units count as troops and any special rules. So like, I have what's called the Black Reaving. It's a Sons of Horus specific Rite of War, so only they can take it. And it's to emphasize thematically the speed and aggression of the Sons of Horus. So like, for example, their signature Terminators get Deep Strike, but only them. So normal Terminators, no, but they're just Darians or whatever they're called. Get that so I can pop into the enemy's face. So I have a Praetor that takes advantage. He goes with them, walks up to the enemy with them. And then there's rules. So like, the Black Reaving downside is I have to have 2 fast attack choices for every heavy support. So I have 2 squads of jet bikes so that I could have 1 squad of heavy weapons with last cannons, or a last cannon, so I can actually like kill stuff with armor. But yeah, no, it's a good time. And that's going to shape an immense amount of your army, is that one decision. Because for the most part, like I said, in all of those, for the most part, a Praetor and 2 troop squads will never be wrong. Like, there are some hyper niche ones that are more than that, but I mean, you're talking about very specific recreations. They're not general army ones. I'm not sure what the word bearers ones are, but I would look that up. But yes, the Black Reaving has been my absolute favorite. I have a bunch of the named characters. Actually, I think the only named character I might have might be Malghurst, because I kit bashed my own custom hero for the first campaign book that came out, and then because he was just like a named character version of a Reaver, which were great. but I kit bashed all my own Reavers, and so then I made my own leader for them. Let's see. Where is my smoky black? Here we go. I think 40k Chaos Legionnaires can be used in Heresy. That's up to you and your gaming group. I wouldn't have a problem with it. There is quite a bit of crossover specifically with the Word Bearers, though, I will tell you. If there's any Legion that's going to make use of stuff like that, because even thematically they were the most stoked about giving yourself up to demonhood, so I'm sure you can find tons of uses for 40k minis. Also, what predators would be useful? A couple of vehicles, actually, now that I come to think about it. And I'm just looking over my initial model to make sure I didn't miss anything, steps-wise. Looking pretty spexy. So I'm just going to grab my black. We're going to paint the bases up. And for me, I always paint the bases. And then I'm going to come back and I've already decided on a basin scheme. I'm going to do the same Martian red earth that I did on my Heresy army again, because it pops and bangs. One of these years at Adepticon, I'm going to go and just make it all about Heresy. I don't know if it'll be this year, though. Because I'll be honest, I'm pretty stoked about Age of Sigmar. I mean, it's not something I want to play all the time, but like if I was going to do one of their Acon like Saturday one-day event type things, I would do that. I know you usually do AOS stuff. Is this your first 40k army, or were you already painting stuff for 40k? It's not my first. I do like painting projects here and there where I've collected little bits of one. I hope for it to be my only. Just because it's more for having something available to hang out with local friends who play 40k. But no, I haven't traditionally had one. I actually just got this stuff the other day. I have not played any of the current edition. I played... When was the last time I like actually tried to play 40k? Let me think about that. It's probably... Well, right when 8th came out. We had a group when I lived outside of Seattle, Washington. With my good friend Ben out there. Ben, if you still watch. What's up, buddy? But yeah, he had this beautiful Salamanders army. And at the time, I was kind of bopping between Blood Angels and Death Watch. You know, as I am one to do, bopping between armies. And I found the game to be a lot at the time. A lot to keep track of. And, I don't know. I sat down with the Codex, not Codex, yeah, the Codex of Space Marines this time, and I just felt like they really keyed into a form of army construction narratively that I like, which is instead of picking, you know, what chapter you're a part of and that determining your rules, now it's like every chapter has every detachment, but you as the commander have to decide what detachment will get the job done. So I don't know. Narratively, I think there's a lot of freedom in that perspective change of where the rules come from. And I don't know. I just felt it. I liked it a lot. So yeah, no real plans on 40k. But I will say, I enjoy painting the heck out of some of these dudes. And I was very much turned off specifically from Space Marines for the longest time because I felt like there wasn't enough Primaris sculpts to be interesting. And I despised the way that Primaris mixed with Baby Marines looked. Muppet Baby Marines. Which is why, honestly, like, it was just never even in the cards for me to play something like Space Wolves, where I feel like truly some of their most interesting lore-wise units are still Baby Marines. This is my lieutenant here. I was doing him in tandem with everybody else, and I paused for a bit. I was like, actually, I want to focus on some real detail with him, so I'm waiting for a Rattling versus Orc box. Oh, is that their new that's a new kill team set, isn't it? Is that what the game is? So with that, we have a squad of 10 intercessors all done. Once everything dries, the last little bits of highlights that I have... Oh, I missed part of his base. The last bit of highlight that I have is regarding the Sergeant's skin. But he's the only one that's showing any skin, so we're just fine there. And I'm going to let this chat decide next. So, technically I have my HQ and 2 troops, because I have 2 squads of intercessors of 5-man. What should I paint next? And I'm going to look at the units directly in front of me. And I have Eradicators, Assault Marines on foot, meaning intercessors who are running forward with chainswords. I have 10 Terminators, who would be first company. I have 10 Incursors, which are kind of the scout armor dudes. 6, I don't know what they're called. Big Heavy Marines, 3-man unit with like these big Mega Melter looking weapons. And I'll just grab a random hero, probably a Chaplain. You guys pick one of those. So we got Assault Marines, Termies, Scout type units, and Leaders. Which chapter are these dudes, or is it a custom? It's a custom one. They are... I'm just going to use them as a Codex compliant one, but the paint scheme is based off of my Sons of Horus. Magnus the Red, what do you think of one-page rules? Setting, minis, and otherwise. I did not know that there was a setting to their games. I thought they were just rules. That's interesting. Games-wise, I love it. Truly love it. I love any way that lets me get more use out of my models. I'm here for it. Without question. Terminators or a Chaplain to go unit. Boys of Horus. Better than my first guess. I definitely went with Horrors of Sunris. +1 for the Termies. You painted some meat shields. Now it's time for some elites. I agree. Let's do that. I got to do a test one here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab one. We can kind of talk through what I'm thinking. Okay, here we go. I think the setting might be new-ish. Okay, I'll go check it out. Okay, so we got some, regular termies. Now, for those of you who may play 40k, can you tell me if you personally, not like what the Codex allows, but do you take squads in 5 or 10 man? I would think 10 man would be better, but that's based on absolutely nothing. So what I'm thinking for my first company, so these will be elite dudes. First company is where they send all the best and brightest. I'll grab this here as my pointer. I'm thinking, obviously, the Sons of Horus green for the main bulk of the armor. However, for them, I'm thinking of all white on the shoulder pads, maybe white on the power fist, and I had even considered maybe like for the sergeant or something doing like a checkered scheme with those two colors just to kind of make him pop. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. So basically my colors, if I was going to do 2 different squads, like paint this 10-man block as 2 different distinct squads, which I can. What would that give me? Yeah. Yep. Okay, so they would each have what? A dude with a heavy weapon, a captain with a power weapon, and then 3 schmoes with power fist and bolter. So if that's the case, what I'm thinking of doing is having one squad with white and black tiny accents, like maybe like the helmet or the gorget or something like that, and then for the other one having the exact inverse, so it's the same green and then it's black shoulder pads with little white on the gorget and that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I was imagining. All the helmets probably being white because they're all veterans. Yeah. Would love to know everybody's thoughts on that. But the real first step is real boring, and it's just covering every single thing in Sons of Horus Green. So I'm probably going to hop off here for the day because that'll take way, way too long to be able to finish up succinctly. And I'm already at almost 2 hours. So friends, I am going to hop off. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Hope you follow along and are enjoying some hobby. I hope to set up a more regular stream time on Saturdays, and probably see you around there, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time-ish. It's kind of what I'm